Hey everyone, welcome back once again. Today I want to do a bit of a different video for my channel, something I haven't done before. I want to do a bit of a comparison. So I want to compare Stanley Kubrick's movie, The Shining, to Stephen King's novel, The Shining. So I just reread the novel, and right after it, I rewatched the movie, which I hadn't seen in quite a while. And I'm going to try and give a very unbiased opinion on what both did well and what both tended to, drop the ball on. This is a very hotly debated topic in the comment section of my Stephen King ranking video. So I kind of came up with the idea that way. Seems to be a lot of people going back and forth on the subject and a lot of very strong opinions on the subject. I think what everybody here has to realize is they are both two different things. Like, they're both two different stories. If you take Kubrick's movie for what it is, as a horror movie, it's very well done. You can't deny that. You can't argue that. But if you take it as an adaptation to Stephen King's novel, I think you could argue that it wasn't really well done. So it can be both well done and not well done at the same time, just depending on what perspective you're coming in at. So yeah, those are, a few things we're going to touch upon in the meat of this video, but just to give you an overview right there, like I said, I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I can. I did like one better than the other, obviously, but just to not upset certain people, I think I'm gonna, like I said, be as impartial. Think of me as like the referee here. I'm gonna try and be as impartial as I can. So, all right, let's dive into this a little deeper. So before we get going here, I just want to say, obviously, this video is going to be filled with spoilers. We're going to be talking a lot of details of both the book and the movie, talking about the endings of both in detail. So if you don't want to be spoiled on any of these, please, this is not the video for you. Also, everything in this video is my opinion only. I'm not saying I'm right or anything like that, or one is better than the other without a shadow of a doubt. It's all my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and you may disagree with me or agree with me. And yeah, let's just throw that out there before we get going here. Okay, so first off, let's talk about Jack Torrance. So Jack Torrance, who was played by Jack Nicholson in the movie, was two different characters to me. I thought the novel really did a good job of giving us a lot more depth to Jack's character. I thought going into Jack's childhood, what he went through with his father, the abuse his father had put on him and his siblings and his mother, really gave you context into the demons that Jack was fighting. Also, the alcoholism. I thought the novel gave us a little more perspective into that, a little more perspective into what happened with his ex-teaching gig, where he assaulted the student and ended up getting fired. Obviously, the novel will give you more context in those sorts of things because it's a novel and you can do a lot more with it. You're getting a lot more out of it, obviously, than a 2-hour movie. So you can't really knock Kubrick for that, because otherwise the movie would have been, 6 hours long and nobody would have wanted to watch that. So he had to cut some stuff out. He did his best to try to get that across in the movie as well. But I just think, for the sake of Jack's character, the fact that, we did get the full story in the novel impacted him a little bit more. Also, and this is where I will give the point to the novel over the movie in terms of Jack, is I just thought in the movie he seemed insane the entire time. Even when they were driving up to the hotel, the interactions he had, even while they were still not at the hotel, back at their apartment, it just seemed like he was already crazy. Whereas in the novel, I thought what King did is he really got across the fact that Jack was a good guy. He was a good guy that was fighting some inner demons, which was relatable, which is, I think, what King was trying to get across, is that there are ghosts. Everybody's fighting their own ghosts, their own demons. And it was just the hotel that really brought those things out in Jack. So I thought that was the difference, and that's what the novel did better, was that it really, King really did get across the love Jack had for Danny and Wendy. And he really did. He was a good guy. He really loved his family. And I don't think it was his fault what happened to him. Whereas, like I said, in the movie, it just felt like he was nuts from the get-go. It didn't really get that across, that loving nature that he had in the book across, which I thought would have added more to the element of the Overlook, kind of saying, you know, this is the Overlook doing this to Jack type thing, as opposed to Jack, you know, choosing to do this himself. But yeah, again, just my opinion, and that's the way I felt. So right now, for in terms of the character of Jack Torrance, I would give the nod to Stephen King and the novel. Okay, next up, let's move over to Wendy Torrance. Now, Wendy was a point of the movie that I thought Kubrick did really well. I thought Shelley Duvall's performance was great as well, and I thought she did a great job of bringing the character from the book to the screen. I thought what was done really well in the movie was the fact that, you know, Wendy, although she was a very timid individual, she was strong in the end. She knew she had to protect her son by any means necessary, and they really did get that across in the movie. I just thought there wasn't that many differences from book to movie in terms of the Wendy character. They did a good job, both King and Kubrick, in portraying how she kind of sensed something wrong with the hotel. At an early point, she could tell that something wasn't right here and something wasn't right in Jack while they were staying there. And that's why she was always proposing to Jack, like, you know, let's get out of here. Come on, let's get out of here before the snow really comes in, everything like that. They also, I thought what Kubrick did well and what he kept in was important, was the fact that Jack sabotaged the snowcat, which was the only means to get out of there after the snow came in. So both book and movie, Jack sabotaged that, as well as the radio and everything like that. So really good. I thought that they kept all that in the movie. And yeah, like I said, I just think Wendy, there wasn't a lot of differences between her in the book and the movie. And that's a nod to Kubrick, because I know it is difficult to keep everything uniform. And yeah, so just for the sake of it, I would give the nod here to Kubrick and the movie in terms of the character of Wendy Torrance. All right, moving on to Danny Torrance now. Now, this is a hotly contested one. Number one, I just thought the whole Tony thing with the finger and the scratchy voice in the movie just didn't work for me. You know, in the book, I always envisioned Danny interacting with Tony inside his head. So, my opinion, I thought maybe in the movie they could have done like kind of a voiceover type deal where Danny's kind of glazed out and there's like a voiceover thing going on instead of him actually vocalizing it himself. I thought maybe that could have worked better, but by all means, I don't make movies, so what do I know? But again, just my opinion. I thought that was a big aspect of Danny that didn't really come across too well in the movie for me. I couldn't really get behind it. Also, I found in the book, they kind of made Danny, you were reading in Danny's head, basically. You were in Danny's head in the book. And I thought they really made Danny seem very mature and wise beyond his years in the novel. It was like, because of his shining ability, he was, you know, picking up thoughts in adults' heads and things like that. And so he was kind of grasping with the fact of these adult concepts, but without actually knowing what's going on. But he was like doing his best to kind of piece it together and everything like that. Therefore, you know, making him grow up faster than the normal child. And I thought the book really portrayed that really well. And in the movie, you know, most of the time he was just kind of like this kid who looked like he had mental issues. He was like comatose and and things like that. So I just thought the movie didn't really get that part of Danny's character across that well. So yeah, I mean, I would give the nod to the book over the movie for Danny Torrance. So if you're keeping score, if we are keeping score here, I would say it's 2-1 right now for novel to movie. Okay, so now that we've covered our three main characters, let's talk about some things that the movie, I thought, did well, did a little bit better than the novel. Number one, the hedge maze. The hedge maze, as opposed to the hedge animals, I thought was a great touch by Kubrick. Really creepy, like the hedge maze in the winter. You know, it just reminds me of those like cornfield mazes you would go through in the fall, and like just to think of one of that magnitude, that size, and how fun it would be, and how kind of scary it would be because of the potential of getting lost, really added to the creepiness of the movie and the story. So Kubrick did really well with that. I just thought the hedge animals, you know, if he would have done that, like hedge animals moving and attacking people and everything like that, like maybe it would have come across like a two children's booky, like something from a Goosebumps episode, something like that. Like that's what that reminds me of. But yeah, so I figure really good change there, going to the maze from the hedge animals, and it worked really well with the story. The other thing as well, I'd say that the movie did well was the score. Obviously, this is a little unfair because there is no music in a book, but you still can't ignore it. The score in this movie was awesome, fit so well, very creepy. It really did a great job setting the atmosphere. And that was also something that Kubrick did really well, is the atmosphere of the entire movie, the isolation, just done so well. How vast the outlook was, like how big it was and everything like that. Just to be in a place that big and knowing there's only 3 people in there would be creepy in itself. And I thought he really did capture that and do it justice. And yeah, so lump the score in with that and the atmosphere of the whole movie. That was thumbs up for sure for Kubrick, and he did a good job with it. All right, now a few specific things I thought the book did well over the movie was Jack doing the research in the basement, finding all the scrapbooks and everything like that. I thought that was a really major part of the story in the novel, and it was something that I think the movie should have worked in. You know, just something about that whole like mystery, piecing together a mystery and Jack doing the research. And even in the book, he went down to the Sidewinder library into town before they got all snowed in, and he was doing research on the microfilch. Is that what it is? That old school where you could look at the newspapers. Correct me in the comments if it's not called that, but it's micro something. Whatever. So he's doing research in the more research even down there, and it was like he became obsessed with the hotel. It was like a mystery to him that he just needed to solve. And I thought that obsession just wasn't quite there in the movie, and they kind of missed on that. So that was definitely one part. Lumping into that was the fact that the movie didn't really have him doing his custodial duties, and a big part of the book was him having to release the pressure on the boiler in the basement, and they didn't even touch upon that at all in the movie, which I thought was a little unfair, and that should have been a part of the plot. But you know, maybe it was because the ending was a little bit different, and that had a big part of the ending in the book, which we'll get to a little bit later in this video. But yeah, that could have been the reason. But I thought that was a little unfair for it not to be in the movie. Okay, one character I haven't talked about yet is Dick Hallorann. Now, I lump him into something the book did better than the movie strictly because of the fact that Dick ends up dying in the movie very quickly. I thought what Kubrick did with him in the movie and how he died does not do that character justice. In the book, he ends up surviving, he ends up helping Wendy and Danny escape, and he ends up being a part of their lives post the Overlook Hotel. So I thought that was just such a major plot point that Kubrick just decided to ignore and go a totally different route on that I didn't really like, just based on how beloved that character was to the readers and how King made him in that book. I just thought it was unfair. I thought the book definitely did more justice to Dick Hallorann. Also, one last thing. Why did he change the room number? I'm talking about Kubrick. Like, was that just kind of a jab at King just to do that? Because that, you really have nothing to gain. So it's room 217, where, you know, the crazy lady, the dead lady in the bathtub. Room 217 in the novel. Room 237 in the movie. If anyone has an explanation for that, if anyone's watched a bunch of special features on a special edition of The Shining or something like that, and Kubrick explained it, or someone explained it, please let me know, enlighten me in the comments. But for me, I just don't understand it, and it kind of irks me a little bit that he ended up doing that. Okay, now let's talk a bit about the violence, the chase scenes where Jack is going after Wendy and Danny. I thought both were pretty comparable. I thought Kubrick was fair. He did a great job incorporating all the main elements. You know, one of the major important scenes is Jack having a party with all the ghosts of the Overlook and, you know, drinking this ghost booze, I guess you could say, and actually getting drunk off it type thing, or him just kind of thinking he's drunk. And then that proceeding to, you know, the chase with the axe and everything like that, with going after trying to kill Danny and Wendy. They even got the fact that, you know, Wendy knocks him out and locks him in the pantry, everything like that. So that was pretty accurate as well. So I thought Kubrick did a pretty good job staying close to home with the source material in terms of that entire sequence. And I mean, we can't ignore Jack Nicholson's performance during that sequence. Even Shelley Duvall, both of them knocked that out of the park. Thought they did a really good job. So in that regard, I would give the point to Kubrick there. He did a great job with the chase sequence and the violence and everything like that. Really, really creepy. Someone busting down a flimsy bathroom door to try and get in at you. You know, really helpless feeling, and Kubrick did a good job capturing that for sure. Okay, lastly, let's talk about the endings, because they are both extremely different. So first, in the movie, Jack ends up chasing Danny into the hedge maze outside. And after going around for quite a while, Danny kind of gives him the old double fake and leads him down one way, doubles back the other way, ends up getting himself out of the maze, but Jack is just out of it and ends up getting lost and freezing to death. So that's the end of Jack. Wendy and Danny end up getting on the snowcat. They drive away happily ever after. Dick Hallorann's dead, as we mentioned already, and that's basically the end of the movie. In the book, it's a lot different. It brings into the fact that Jack hasn't released a boiler in quite a while because he's been so caught up with this chase. And the boiler is getting to the point where it's gonna go. And the Overlook basically can feel that this is happening, and it feels threatened. And I thought the book really gets that across. It gives you the personification of the Overlook itself, a little better feel of that. Anyways, so long story short, in the book, the Overlook ends up blowing up with Jack inside. He knew he needed to release it, and he just didn't get down there in time, and the Overlook blows, and Jack blows along with it. And Dick, who is alive in the book, Wendy and Danny end up getting on the snowcat that Dick ended up coming up on and escaping. And Dick actually plays a part in, you know, the little post scene of Wendy and Danny's life after the Overlook and after Jack. So, like I said, two different endings. They both are impactful in their own way. But for me, my opinion, I do enjoy the book ending a lot better than the movie ending. Probably mostly for the fact that, you know, Dick didn't get the justice in the movie. as opposed to the book. So yeah, my vote would be for the book over the movie in terms of endings. Okay, everyone, if you watched this far, once again, I do thank you. I would love to hear everyone's opinions, and please, let's be civil. Like I said, these are all opinions. If you like the movie better than the book, all the power to you. If you like the book better than the movie, again, same deal. It's just whatever hits better for you. They're two different mediums, and in a way, they're two different stories. And they're both really well done. The Shining by Stanley Kubrick is a very, very well done horror movie, and it's a classic. And the book by Stephen King is also a classic, and it's one of my favorite novels. And I just think, you know, like I said, everyone can have their opinion, but let's be civil and let's have fun with a good discussion.